Rania Hoteit is the founder and chief executive officer of ID4A Technologies, a highly innovative company that is focused on the development of automation and manufacturing technologies and has been recognized and acknowledged by industry leaders worldwide. Rania's journey and accomplishments are remarkable for several reasons, and her roles as an influencer and global impact leader are undeniably inspiring. She migrated from Lebanon at the age of 18 after surviving a childhood of displacement and constant bombings in her war-torn country. Her journey from struggle to success in the USA has been outstanding. She came with only $1,000 in her pocket and built herself from scratch into a multi-award winning serial entrepreneur. She is now leading a global venture that was named among the best entrepreneurial companies in America by Entrepreneur magazine, awarded among the top 100 impact companies in North America by Real Leaders magazine, listed among the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing private companies in America by Inc. magazine, and honored by Fast Company's World Changing Ideas Awards, in addition to other extraordinary accolades. Her hard work and dedication have earned her recognitions from the White House, the UK Parliament, the Global CEO Excellence Awards, and other prestigious honors. Her exceptional record and deep expertise made her a sought-after advisor and international speaker, and was chosen among the 55 global leaders to speak at the United Nations Global People's Summit. Her determination, visionary mind, and thirst for innovation have been a massive drive behind her success. She is the type of individual that goes beyond empowerment and becomes a true role model to follow. Let's welcome our special guest, Rania Hoteit. Hello, Rania, and
Hi,
welcome
Hanan.
to Detroit.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on the show.
You are one of the driving forces behind the fourth industrial revolution. Your company, ID4A Technologies, is one of the top industrial automation companies in San Francisco. Walk us through the process of what your company does.
ID4A Technologies is specialized in the design and development of customized automation solutions to accelerate manufacturing processes. We leverage the capabilities of artificial intelligence, machine learning, machine vision, 3D printing, advanced analytics, and other exponential technologies to increase the efficiency, accuracy, scalability, and flexibility across the entire manufacturing cycle while reducing time, cost, and waste. Also, in the process of doing so, we are creating significant environmental and economic impact as well. In addition to the software developments that we create, we also provide end-to-end integration system services and end-to-end product development services, which makes up about 25 to 30% of our business. We have a team that's distributed currently in 11 cities around the world, and we have clients in 25 countries as well.
That's remarkable. It seems, Rania, like you were ahead of the game. In 2011, not many companies were thinking of Industry 4.0. Did you envision this success for ID4A Technologies?
When I first started the company, I was still a student. I was a full-time student in college. I was doing my second master's degree in architecture in downtown Los Angeles. And I was working also multiple jobs while starting the company and attending to my degree requirements. So at the time, I had a particular idea that I wanted to work on for my thesis project. I wanted to develop a new process that can accelerate production by combining different technologies. At the time, 3D printing was one of the hottest technologies, and robotics as well were available to us in the school. So I thought that was an opportunity for me to leverage the tools that I have access to and to leverage my time in school to develop my ideas. So during those 3.5 years in graduate school, I used my time and I used my effort in order to develop my ideas for what had become later on the early developments for ID4A Technologies. So when I started the company, I had a huge vision. I wanted to combine my skills and my transdisciplinary experience, because I have different background in terms of education. I came from engineering into art and design and then into architecture. So I wanted to really combine all these different experiences that I had and all the skills that I had to create something that's a unique business that's focused on innovation, but that also implements design thinking and design processes, and take the ideas from scratch to full production. So that's how things started for me, and I really did not know how far we're going to go. I just knew I want to go really far.
But I'm sure you had some challenges along the way. Tell us about the challenges that you faced to accelerate manufacturing processes.
There's a lot of different challenges when it comes to accelerating production. There are business challenges that we had to go through in terms of starting a company that was very investment heavy in the early research and development phase. So I didn't have much money. I didn't have any support. There was no investor wanted to put money into a young woman that was just right out of college. There are many challenges when it comes to accelerating manufacturing processes, particularly for additive manufacturing or 3D printing. There are many difficulties that the industry is still trying to overcome in order to make it a viable solution for many other industries to use. At this point, one of the biggest challenges is speed or slow production speed. Speed is very important when it comes to production. And industries such as automotive and consumer products, they are heavily dependent on high volume, scalable production, serial production. So technologies like 3D printing is definitely not a viable technology for them to use compared to more mechanized or traditional manufacturing systems out there that are more efficient and faster when it comes to production. The second big challenge when it comes to 3D printing is the development of materials and the inconsistency of materials. The second challenge that I would like to talk about is materials development and inconsistency and the materials that are available in the industry. There are many types of printers out there, many industrial grade printers as well. We still have a lack when it comes to variety of materials that are available to use for different types of uses and different types of manufacturing needs. The third challenge I would like to address as well is issues of manual post-processing. So people think that because 3D printing is an additive process, the object will come out perfect and you don't have to do anything about it. That's not the reality of how this technology works. Whether you are printing with resin or different types of plastics or metal or plaster, there still needs to be a manual post-processing that needs to happen to get the object to a certain level of finish and quality that is presentable or that is usable or that is ready to be implemented within like a more functional setting or integrated within another product or object. I believe that automated solutions can really solve this challenge and this problem, and there is a lot of work that can still be done to make those post-processing methods more automated and faster to accomplish when it comes to 3D printing. The fourth challenge, and the last one I'm going to address today, is software issues. So when it comes to software challenges, for example, we still have a lot of problems when it comes to the workflow. Designers always complain that the workflow is disjointed because originally CAD software has not been developed to integrate 3D printing as part of the design workflow or design to manufacturing workflow. So there's still these challenges where designers have to go from one software for 3D modeling to another software to slice their objects to make them printable, to another software in order to print it. In addition to all the different software that each company develops to their own, for their own machines. So that's still another challenge there when it comes to making the design workflow a lot more cohesive for production.
So obviously there are many challenges for when it comes to 3D printing. I want to talk to you about artificial intelligence that's reshaping the workplace now. How is the accepting for AI inside the manufacturing companies?
You know, I believe that the manufacturing industry has been one of the fastest adopting industries for the latest technologies, specifically because the manufacturing industry operates in a way that is all about supply and demand. So whatever they could do to make the production faster and more efficient, to get the consumer the products that they need within the time frame that is needed to fulfill market demand, companies are open to it. So especially in the last 2 years, we have seen a lot more increase in adoption because the way companies have been forced to operate has changed. So even the companies that have been operating in a traditional way or kind of shying away from more automated technologies or implementing any AI driven solutions, they are becoming aware that in order for them to survive and to thrive in the new economy, they need to adapt to the new technologies. Otherwise, they will die very soon. And a lot of them have already died during the pandemic because they were not equipped to deal with the quick changes that were happening. That also required automation and social distancing and new ways of working. So there's definitely an increase in adoption, and I believe it will keep increasing much faster over the next decade as well.
So Rania, how do you prepare organizations for robot workers?
There are different ways to prepare organizations for robot workers. By robot workers, we have literally two types of robotic systems going on. We have the digital bots that are embedded within the different software solutions that the companies have to use. And then we have the industrial robots that are on the manufacturing floor, that are part of the production process on the ground. So when it comes to the first one, which is replacing or using more bot workers when it comes to automation and the software component, you prepare companies by renovating or reshaping their entire infrastructural system in order to integrate and incorporate the different automation solutions that they could link up and sync up together in order to have a fully automated system where production happens at different levels, from design to monitoring to data collection to data analysis to actual automation of production, to waste management, et cetera, et cetera. So there are so many different elements that companies need to adapt to when it comes to software components.
Okay.
On the other end, when it comes to being on the ground, the industrial robots, those are the ones that are replacing the human workers in order to do very robust labor work. So you help the companies adapt to those kinds of changes by training the workers, by building another or a new setup in order to facilitate the collaboration between different robotic systems on the ground, to train and equip the workers with operation capabilities so they know how they could operate and they could manage all these different machines on the ground as well. So there are different levels where an organization needs to become prepared for a fully automated system when it comes to how their doing business and how they're operating from the software end all the way to the actual production on the factory floor.
This is very interesting. What about the challenge of having humans and robots working side by side?
When it comes to facilitating collaboration between human workers and robot workers, it's really down to training and upskilling of the workforce. There is no other way to make this happen in an effective manner. So companies, when they're doing an entire revamp for their facilities, or they're trying to adjust their operations, or they're trying to integrate more automation solutions to accelerate their processes, there is a huge component that is about also upskilling their workforce to be able to perform the jobs that are now needed for operating automation systems. And in many cases, the collaboration is as simple as just being trained, and you're ready to use these technologies, you're ready to operate them, you know exactly how to collaborate with them because you're trained to do that. The second issue sometimes becomes, are the companies ready to invest in the training and upskilling of their workforce? Because in a lot of cases we've seen that companies start to get a little bit greedy or a little bit lazy when it comes to upskilling and training their own workforce. So they start to lay off people and they try to bring in higher skilled employees that were not necessarily part of the company originally. So that process becomes a little bit complicated. As long as the organization has a strategy for training and upskilling internally, I think they could not only help themselves to adapt to the new changes and the implementation of new technologies, but they could also support their own employees to grow and change and evolve with the company itself, rather than discarding them and trying to bring in new people. And that way you're not leaving the workforce behind. You're always participating and also equipping and preparing the next generation to partake in the new economy as it changes with technology as well.
Sure. What about the ethical challenge presented by the use of automation technology, knowing that this production, the AI, might put many out of jobs?
There is a huge fear when it comes to this particular topic. A lot of people are scared of the idea that robots will replace humans. What they don't really understand, and that's been proven throughout history since the beginning of the industrial age, they don't understand that when you implement automation technologies, you're not only accelerating the physical production or making it more efficient, you're also helping the organization to scale and grow. And with scaling and growth, you can actually provide more jobs. There will be more need for jobs. There will be more people needed to be working for the company. Maybe not necessarily in the same form or in the same format they were working before, when they were operating traditional machinery or when they were doing the labor work themselves, but they can come in with a new capacity as operators and as maintenance people, or skilled engineers. So you're not only creating a growth channel for the organization in terms of economic capital, you're also creating a channel for growth on the human capital end. Just if you look at the data and studies that show the impact of automation over the next decade or so, there will be many jobs lost as automation becomes more widely adopted. But we are talking about more than 75 million jobs that will become available in the marketplace within the next 10 years, because there will be more need for higher skilled workers to be integrated within the new organizational systems that are adapting technologies and changing with automation. So there's a huge misconception about the topic. There's also lots of fear because, you know, let's face it, every time you have a new technology or any emerging technology, people always respond to it with fear, because they're uncertain about what that means at a social and economic level. When you bring in a new tool or a new way of doing something that you're not used to, there's always fear about what that means and how it's going to impact their lives and their own economies. Until we start to see the positive impact, we don't believe that it's possible to happen.
Yes, I agree. Is it fair to assume that small businesses think that they cannot access or afford the automated technologies?
I believe that's a misconception too. It's a matter of what industry you're in and if the type of work you do enables you to implement advanced technologies as part of your workflow and operation as a business. So it's really case by case, but it's not at all, at this time, I would say saying it's not affordable is definitely not the right mindset to think about.
So what is it then?
It's more the mindset in terms of adopting to something new. So if a business, even if it's a small shop, are they willing to become operating as a digital business? Were they going to have a website up there? Are they going to facilitate ordering online and delivery if people can't come into their restaurant anymore due to the pandemic or something else? Are they ready to adapt to the crisis and changes in order to keep their business running?
So is it more about adaptation than maybe money issue or?
Absolutely. Adaptation becomes the biggest barrier for most businesses because, again, companies get used to operating in a certain way, and it becomes a blockage for them. When they see something new, they have to change things up. They're not always ready to make that change. Even if the money is available, they're not always willing to make that investment because they're just so comfortable in the way they're operating. They don't want to change. They don't want to learn something new. They don't want to have to do the work to adapt. So this is also a reality that a lot of companies don't want to face. They don't want to confess or admit that this is really what's happening. They just keep finding different excuses for doing business as usual in the same way. And then complaining, why my business is stagnated? Why am I not making more money? Why am I not scaling? Why am I shutting down? So it really becomes a question of, are you willing to adapt to the change? Are you willing to find opportunities to implement new solutions and work on becoming better and learning the new skills in order to implement and operate in new ways? That, I think, is the main challenge for businesses. I think investment and money comes next, especially for businesses that are already profitable or that they have access to funding. So if your mindset is more evolutionary and you're ready to adapt as a business, you'll find a million ways to make it happen.
Rania, being expert judge on global startup competitions, what qualities do you assess startups on?
There are different criteria that I personally look at when judging on any competition, whatever the scale of the competition is. Looking first at the idea. Is it a viable business idea? Is it innovative? Is it profitable? Is it an idea that's unique and that has a competitive edge? The second criteria is taking a look at the team and studying and analyzing the team that's presenting the business idea. Do they have the personality? Do they have the skills that are needed to take an idea from a concept to an actual business? The third one is really looking at the overall market potential. Is this great business idea with the great team has a great potential in the marketplace? That's something I also look at. Is there a lot of competition that's going to limit the growth of this business idea, or that's going to make it more difficult for them to stand out? And lastly, is the funding potential. Is it an idea that will be appealing to investors? Because a lot of ideas can be great, they could be conceptually really good, but they're not appealing to investors. And if your idea is not appealing to investment, this is going to be a killer to your business idea, especially if it's not profitable from the first look or from the first spark. When you look at an idea and you're not sure if it's going to be profitable or not, but it has potential in the market. So those are all the different aspects that I personally look at. But to me, if you ask me, the biggest thing that I think is that will make or break any business, especially on a startup phase, is whether the team is the right team to make it happen or not. Because you could have limitations and work around them if you have the right people running the business. You will be able to overcome funding issues, you will be able to overcome competition challenges, you'll be able to overcome a lot if you have smart, skilled, driven, ambitious people that are also cooperative and collaborative and ready to work together to grow something from scratch to a fully operating business.
So what is your number one advice for someone who's trying to build a startup?
Number one advice is to really make assessments about yourself. Look at yourself and assess your own skills. Look at yourself and assess if you are mentally and emotionally ready to take a step like that. Because the reality is starting a business is not for the faint of heart. It's not an easy journey. It's not. It's going to be a journey that's full of challenges and obstacles and difficulties. And if you are not someone who is confident about their drive and their ambition and their determination and their willingness to put in the work, it will be a bad start to begin with. So you start with yourself to see if you are the right person to run your own business, if you're the right person to take your idea to market, if you're the right person to build a team and to manage a team and make people work together. So you start with you, and then you look at your idea and what you can do with it. So that's really my top advice is
that's a very good advice.
Self-development, self-assessment, making sure you're ready before you even enter the entrepreneurial space.
During the pandemic, what are some of the strategies that you have used to sustain your business, and how has ID4A Technologies assisted other companies?
Since the beginning of the pandemic, we have implemented multiple strategies to not only continue to operate as a business, but also to thrive and continue scaling and sustaining our growth as well. The first priority that I had as a CEO is to make sure that our team is safe and secure. I wanted to make sure that everybody has their jobs by the end of the pandemic. The last thing I wanted to happen is compromising any jobs or having to let go of anyone because of the changes that are happening. So that was really the drive to actually go aggressively on acquiring more clients during that period of time. So rather than us cutting back or scaling down on our operations, we actually went on to acquire more than 250 clients within a period of 12 months. We had 334 employees at the beginning of the pandemic. We added a few more people over the next few months as well. So given that we had set up a very strong foundation for remote work from the beginning of the foundation of the company itself, we had a strong platform to facilitate remote work. So we did not have the issue of enabling our workers and employees to be anywhere working with us, especially being distributed across 11 cities around the world. That was not an issue for us. The only thing we had to really work on was the making sure that the people that are working in our R&D facilities are safe. So we had to implement new security and safety measures to ensure that they have the space to work and they can still be productive without compromising their health in any way.
What was the most difficult part that you had to deal with during all of this?
I think the most difficult part was the initial shock of the change because we had to adapt really fast. So we had contracts in place, we had clients that were ongoing contracts that we were fulfilling. We had a certain workflow that was already set. And then the pandemic came and it was a sudden hit. We had many clients at the time that throughout the pandemic, they also went out of business. So we couldn't fulfill the contracts we had with at least 15 different manufacturers that they couldn't sustain their own business. So we lost clients to the pandemic and the crisis. We also gained so many more clients that were ready to adapt. So we had the opportunity to capitalize on okay, there is a crisis. There are also opportunities for us to capitalize on to make sure that we could assist other manufacturers and other companies to adapt to the changes. And that was really the main opportunity for us. A lot of companies needed to automate processes that were not automated before. It became absolutely critical to enable workers to work remotely, so we were able to facilitate social distancing and remote work for our clients. We were able to help them in increasing their security, especially for working more remotely and operating from a distance. We wanted to make sure that all systems are secure and safe from any hacking or any kind of security breach. So we had different opportunities to come in with our innovative solutions and help our customers and clients. And we also gave them the chance to adjust and completely change their production lines in certain cases to produce relevant products, such as medical products that were in high demand and other medical devices that became in high demand as well during the crisis. So we were able not only to help ourselves thrive, we were also able to help other businesses capitalize on opportunities for them to produce products that were in high demand and help them increase their own growth as well.
That's very amazing. So how do you see your company going forward after the pandemic?
Actually, we are in the process of getting acquired. So ID4A is over a decade old at this time. We've achieved tremendous growth over the years, and we've had amazing opportunities to innovate and to contribute to the world in different ways, whether that is through our technological advancements or our social impact initiatives and environmental impact initiatives. So we are at a stage where we are transitioning as a company as well into becoming acquired by a larger acquirer. And
are you ready for this?
You know, it's been a long time coming because we've had multiple opportunities to sell in the last 2 years. And we kind of were still thinking about it if we're ready to make this move. And especially for me, as being the founder who's still the CEO of the company, it was a major decision for me to let go and to transition in my career as well. So it's been a long time coming. I believe that the pandemic kind of slowed down that process, but it also gave us the opportunity to do a lot more. Yes. We were able to make so many developments during the last 18 months that we probably wouldn't have done at that speed if a crisis did not hit. So I'm grateful for the opportunity we had as a company to innovate more and to be more proactive in solution creation processes during this phase. And you know, the future is going to be brighter for all of us, I believe.
Hope so.
So
well, best
I'm
of luck
very
on
hopeful.
that.
Thank
best
you.
Of luck. At the age of 18, you came to this country with no support, no guidance, with $1,000 in your pocket. Why did you pick America to make your dreams come true?
One of the main reasons why I chose to come to this country is, first of all, I grew up in Lebanon within a very difficult period of time. My childhood was not easy at all. We lived through the civil war when I was young, and we were displaced for a long time before we were able to come back to our home. So during that period, after we came back, there was new difficulties that emerged. The family was kind of disintegrated. We had lots of financial difficulties. It was very apparent for me that if I stay, I will not be able to have the future that I dream of for myself. My parents were not capable of sending me to college or supporting me financially at that stage. I also didn't see that I would be able to get the right education I felt like I need and I deserve in order to thrive in the future if I was just to stay and work and settle for a mediocre education. So that was really the main drive. And I was one of the lucky ones who had a family in the United States for over 30 years. My mom's family have been established here for a long time, and they were able to help us when it comes to legally migrating to the States and having citizenship papers as well. So if I did not have this opportunity to migrate at the age I did, I don't think I would have able to achieve what I was able to achieve and become the person I am today.
You said growing up in Lebanon shaped your identity. How so?
I personally believe that my background coming from Lebanon and growing up there up until the age of 18 had a tremendous influence on my identity and shaping my identity, and also it had a tremendous influence on the success I was able to achieve in my career over the following 19 or 20 years. When I was growing up there, I believe that the challenges, the very particular and unique experiences that I had, they taught me so much. I felt like I was able to grow up. I became very mature at a very young age. Lebanon has a very diverse culture and a very cosmopolitan kind of a makeup, where you are exposed to many languages, you are exposed to multiple religions and ideologies, you are exposed to a lot of other cultures outside as well, because that's just how it is. Lebanon is like a sponge, and it absorbs from everywhere. So I feel it was a privilege for me to grow up there, despite the difficulties of everything we had to go through, from living through the war, to the financial difficulties, to the instability that the country has been going through for ages. That still helped me to become a stronger and more diverse person as well, and more open-minded to a variety of perspectives and ideas from a very young age. And it also gave me the drive and the ambition to want to do more, because I didn't have enough. So that also gave me a lot of fire. When I migrated to the United States, I came with nothing, and I wanted to build something out of myself and use my experiences and the resilience I was able to build growing up and the environment I was in, and using the skills that I also gained growing up and being educated there. So it was an opportunity for me as well to take all this and bring it here and create something completely new of myself with the foundation that I had.
Rania, you are a role model for many women out there, especially for Arab American women. Some of them are still going to schools and universities. What are some words of wisdom that you would like to share with them today?
I would like to share with them one thing. I mean, there are many things I can share with them, but the most important thing is to not discriminate against yourself. We come from a particular background, we come from a particular culture. We already have a lot of challenges as women just by gender alone. So if there is anything that I advise them to do, is to make sure that they do not discriminate against themselves, and don't adopt the traditions and the mindsets and the opinions of others that could limit their own growth and evolution as an individual at a personal level, and also at a professional level, and how much they could achieve in their careers, and in terms of expanding on their own skills and maximizing their own potential.
You are one of the 50 global women leaders who are featured in 50 inspirational voices of migrant women, from struggles to success. What does this mean to you?
I am absolutely grateful for the opportunity to have been able to share my story in this book. The book was published in 2017, and the book launch was at the United Kingdom Houses of Parliament, where I also received an award during that time as well. So I'm absolutely grateful for this opportunity to be able to share my story of not only as an immigrant woman, but also as a woman who went from very humble beginnings and starting her life from scratch, and really using the story as an inspiration and as a motivation for other women who feel that their conditions or circumstances or the limitations of where they are at this moment in time will dictate their future. And I wanted to make sure that through sharing the story, I can tell them something else, that no matter where you are now, you have the opportunity to create something absolutely phenomenal, and go as far as you can, and make your dreams come true. If you have wild dreams, it's all possible.
Did you envision that you would be where you are today, a woman of such impact?
And when it comes to envisioning myself for being where I am today, I always had huge ambition since I was a child. I always had wild dreams, to be honest. I always wanted to create something. I always wanted to participate in the world in meaningful ways. I always wanted to create something that's meaningful and impactful. And I didn't necessarily know at the time what that will be, but I had the vision that one day I want to be able to create something big and meaningful and impactful in whatever form that is, as long as it's a reflection of my authentic self, of my values, of my skills and my talents and gifts. I want to be as purposeful as possible and use the time that I have here during this life to create something that can help other people and that can leave a mark, however small or big that is.
So Rania, America is ready for more women leaders, and we salute you for your success. And what are your aspirations from here?
My aspirations, at this moment in time, I'm going through a transition with my business. As I mentioned earlier, we're getting acquired. And I am also in the process of creating new ventures and being involved in different organizations and companies. I'm also writing a book that's going to be published by next year, hopefully, if everything lines up in terms of scheduling. I'm also going to be doing a lot of teachings and courses online. So if anyone wants to learn more from me about how to become a successful entrepreneur, how to become more motivated and more ready to run a business or lead teams, that content will become more available for people as well. So this is where I'm at the moment, and you can stay tuned for more once things happen.
How can people reach you?
People can reach me through social media. They could also go on my website and submit a contact from there. They could be specific about the requests that they have, whether they are looking for a consultation or they want to do an interview of some sort, or they're looking for seeking my knowledge and expertise in any way, if they're looking for someone to speak at their events or organizations as well. So they could reach me through my website. Will be the most efficient way to get to me. Social media, I'm on all platforms, so they could contact me through there as well.
That's great. Thank you, Rania, for being with us today, and best of luck.
Thank you so much, Hanan, for hosting me.
Thank you.